Hello children, welcoming you all to the 11th standard. I am here to give a short lecture on the topic about basic computer organization. The chapter we are going to deal with is computer system overview. In that, we are going to deal about basic computer organization today. Before we enter into our topic, let me tell you what you are going to study in class 11. In this class, we will be studying Python fundamentals, database management, Boolean algebra, and SQL. The prescribed book for the class 11 is Computer Science with Python by Smita Arora, Dhanpat Rai Publications. So let us begin our session with the introduction of basic computer organization. And in this basic computer organization, we are going to learn about input devices and output devices, central processing unit of the computer. So these are things we are going to cover today. Today, we will be discussing about computer system overview, which I already mentioned you earlier. So in this, we will be studying about general things about computer, like what is a computer, what can we do with computer, and what are the parts of computer, etc, etc, etc. So you may think that you know everything about computer because you have been studying about computer from the junior classes, like about hardware of the computer, software of the computer, and some more things, right? And now, just we recall the things which we learned in the lower classes. First, what do you know about computer? Nowadays, is anything possible without a computer? No, isn't it? Because computer is very popular and it is mandatory thing. The best example for this is in this quarantine period also we are able to connect with the people through computer and we are able to learn, right? This is possible with the computer only. So nowadays computer is important. In short, we can say that in every aspect of life around us, we see computers play very important role directly or indirectly, isn't it? So students, what is a computer? You all know the answer, right? So computer is an electronic device that accepts data, processes it according to the specific instructions given by us, and produces a desired output to us, right? And computer is composed of two main parts, that is hardware and software. Now let us learn about these parts. The first one is computer hardware. What is meant by hardware? The physical electronic components of a computer are called hardware. In other words, we can say that the parts which we can see, touch and we can feel are called as hardware. Example, printer, monitor, CPU, etc. And here in this picture you can see some of the physical electronic components of the system. And here is the next part of the computer, that is computer software. Computer software it is nothing. It is a set of programs that govern the operation of a computer system. Example, MS Word and MS Excel, Google Chrome, etc. And here is the next heading, that is basic computer organization. In this subtopic we are going to learn about input unit, output unit and central processing unit and some more. Today we will be covering these three topics, these three headings only. And what is meant by computer organization? Computer organization refers to logical structure of a computer describing how its components are connected to one another and how they affect one another's functioning and contribute to overall performance of the computer. And computers follow the IPO principle. What is meant by IPO? Here I means input, P means process, O means output. It means that input is given to the computer and it is processed and the desired output is produced. Children, now tell me, what do you know about input? Input is nothing, it is a raw data and instructions given to the computer. For example, here in this slide, you are able to see the numbers 5 plus 7. That is raw data given to the computer. And in the next step is processing. Here addition process must be done, and here 5 plus 7 is the raw data that must be added, and the processed data will be given as output. What is the processed data here? 12. 12 is the answer. That is called as processed data. So children, now you all know about IPO cycle, right? IPO cycle means input, process, output cycle. Input raw data will be given and it will be processed. Raw data will be processed and output will be as a processed data. So this is about IPO cycle. Here basic computer organization structure is shown. With this you can have a clear idea about input, output and process device, how are they connected and how the data is transmitted from input process and process to process device to output device. Here you can see input device, output device and memory is connected with the processor, that means a CPU, central processing unit, through common bus. Now we have studied about computer organization structure and how parts are interconnected and what is IPO principle. These are things we have studied. Next, we are going to learn about parts of the computer. First one is input unit. What is input unit? Input unit is formed by the input devices. You know about input devices, right? Example, can you say an example for input device? Keyboard. Yes. There are some more: keyboard, mouse, magnetic ink, character reader, that means MICR in short form we can say like that, and optical mark reader, OMR, etc. So these are some of the examples for input devices. And this input unit is responsible for taking input and converting it into computer understandable form. What is meant by computer understandable form? It is nothing, it is a binary code. You know about binary code, right? Zeros and ones. Do you remember that numbers? Zeros and one. Computer can understand these numbers only. Since a computer operates on electricity, it can understand only the language of electricity, that is either on or off, or high voltage or low voltage. That means a computer can understand two stages, on or off, or high or low voltage, or the binary language that uses just two symbols, one for on and zero for off. So what is meant by input unit? What is the definition? Here is the definition: an input unit takes the input and converts it into binary form so that it can be understood by the computer. This is the definition for input unit. Now we will learn about some common input devices. What are they? Now there are many things, just we are going to learn 3 input devices. That is, first one is keyboard. Keyboard is a typewriter like device which is used to type in the letters, digits and commands. Second one is mouse. Mouse is pointing device with either a roller on its base or some laser mechanism. Mouse controls movement of pointer on screen. And the third input device is microphone. We can send sound input to the computer through a special input device called microphone. In short form we will call it as mic. Mic converts it. This device converts the sound received into computer's format, which is called as digital audio. This mic can work if your computer has a special hardware known as sound card, or else it doesn't work. And here is the second part of computer organization, that is output unit. Now, output unit is formed by the output devices attached to the computer. The output coming from the CPU is in the form of electronic binary symbols, which needs conversion in some form which can be easily understood by the human beings, because we cannot understand binary language, so it must be converted to which can be easily understood by us. So that is characters, graphical or audio visual form. This function of conversion is performed by this output units. Some popular output devices are monitors, printers and speakers. Now let us learn about it. The first one is monitors. So the first one is monitors. Monitor is the most common form of output from a computer. It displays information in a similar way to that shown on a television screen. The picture on a monitor is made up of thousands of tiny colored dots called pixels. You know about it, right? Pixel, it is a tiny colored dot. That's why we are able to see things on the screen, objects on the screen. The second output device is printers. Printers are the devices that delivers information by means of printed characters on a paper. Next one is speakers. Speakers receive the sound in the form of electric current from the sound card and then convert it into sound format audible to the user. So the definition for output unit is output unit converts the output in binary form to human readable form. The third part is CPU. What is the expanded form of CPU? Central Processing Unit. The CPU or the Central Processing Unit is the main control center and processing unit. It is also called as brain of the computer. Why is it so? Because it guides, directs, controls and governs the performance of a computer. That's why it is called as brain of the computer. And it has three subcomponents. What are they? The first one is arithmetic logic unit, control unit, and the third one is register. I repeat all these parts. Arithmetic logic unit, in short form we will call it as ALU. Control unit, short form of control unit is CU, and the third one is registers. This ALU, that means arithmetic logic unit, performs all the four arithmetic operations. What are they? Addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. These are the four arithmetic operations. These arithmetic operations done by ALU only. And some logical operations also done by ALU. What are they? Lesser than, greater than. We used to compare numbers, right? Equal to, greater than or equal to, lesser than or equal to, not equal to. These are the some operations are called as logical operations. So these arithmetic logical operations are done by arithmetic logic unit. Example, when two numbers are required to be added, these numbers are sent from memory to ALU, where addition takes place and the result is put back in the memory. In the same way, other arithmetic operations are also performed through ALU only. For logical operations also, the numbers to be compared are sent from memory to ALU, where the comparison takes place and the result is returned to the memory. The result of a logical operation is either true or false. The second part of CPU is control unit. Control unit controls and guides the interpretation, flow and manipulation of all data and information. It sends control signals until the required operations are done properly by ALU and memory. And another important function of CPU is program execution, that is carrying out all the instructions stored in the program, that is called as program execution. CU gets proper instruction from the memory and executes them one after the other. After getting the instruction from memory in CU, the instruction is decoded and interpreted. It means which operation is to be performed. Then the asked operation is carried out. After the work of this instruction is completed, control unit sends signal to memory to send the next instruction in sequence to control unit. It also controls the flow of data from one input devices to memory and from memory to output devices. So overall, CU acts as a supervisor and controls and guides all the operations of the computer. And the third part of CPU is registers. Registers are processor registers, and these are small units of data holding places. It holds the data. The CPU uses registers to temporarily hold some important processing information during the time the processing is taking place. CPU may store some part of data or some memory address or some instruction in its processor registers. And small recap about today's session. We learned intro about computer, what is computer and what are the two important parts of computer. What is computer? It is an electronic device. It gets input, process it and gives output. Two parts of computer, hardware and software. Hardware is a physical components of a computer and software is a set of instructions as our set of programs. And we saw some of the examples for hardware and software. So this is about introduction, and the next topic we studied about basic computer organization. And this is structure of computer, that means the parts, how parts are interconnected, and three parts of computer, that means input unit, output unit, CPU. These are the parts we have studied today. Input unit is nothing, the input unit gives input to the computer, output unit displays the output, and CPU, it is a brain of the computer and it is a processing unit. It contains three sub components. They are arithmetic logic unit, control unit and register. Arithmetic logic unit performs arithmetic operations and logical operations. Control unit controls and it acts as a supervisor. And register, it is a small unit of data holding places. And here we have some questions related to our topic. The first question is, what are the functional components of a computer? Second one, what are the components of a CPU? What is its role? Third one, what is the function of control unit of CPU? Fourth one, what role does the input unit play in a computer? Fifth one, what is the function of output unit? And sixth one is, what is IPO principle? Students, go through the lesson and find out the answer for these questions. We will meet in the next session. Until then, bye. Take care.